Candela, hypnotherapist, transformation coach, and a spiritual teacher. You're about to listen to a recording of one of my regression sessions. If you enjoyed the content on my channel, please consider subscribing. And if you click on the bell, it will inform you of any of my future postings. Also, leave a comment and click like, because that helps to bring this kind of content to more viewers. I hope you enjoy the recording, and I hope to see you again in my future videos.
So if you'd like, you can turn around and give this child that you're hearing behind you your attention.
It looks like they're about 10 feet away from me. A little girl with waist-long hair. A very white dress. Looks like she's trying to lead me back into the forest.
Does she say anything?
The only word I can make out is look, as she's trying to point at something behind her.
So why don't you look at what she's pointing and tell me what comes to your attention?
A rabbit that looks like it's standing at attention at us. And it tries to walk or hop over to the girl.
So you can ask her what she wants you to understand or see, and tell me what she says.
She wants to know if we can keep it. I don't know if she means as a pet, but I almost feel as if she's asking if we can find it a home.
Okay. I'd like you to look down at your feet and tell me what you see wearing on your feet.
Nothing.
And as you become aware of your body, tell me what you're wearing on your body.
A very simple dress down to my knees. It looks white color with hints of blue.
How old are you?
Late 20s, early 30s.
I'd like you to look over the surface of the pond and you will see your reflection. Tell me what you see.
I see long, straight hair, almost orange, like I'm a redhead. I have freckles everywhere, very bright blue eyes, and it looks like I have an old scar from my right ear along my jawline.
Become aware of where that scar came from.
I was trying to run and some kind of sharp object like a knife come across my face. I can't really tell since I was trying to get to the child.
Was there danger to the child?
Yeah.
This little girl?
I believe so. I think that's why we're here.
So what was the danger?
An older man. I don't know if it would be a husband or a father, but he looked like he was going after the child.
Were you cut with an actual knife?
It felt like it was as sharp as a knife, but I can't really tell since I was trying to make sure she was okay.
So what is your relationship to this little girl?
I believe she's my sister, but I don't think we share both parents. I believe we only share one, a father.
Do you sense that you're still close to where you lived?
No, it feels like we're no more than a week away from the house.
Okay. So we're going to just freeze this moment. And I want you on the count of 3 to go back to the place where the two of you used to live. 1, 2, and 3. And as you see yourself standing in front of that place, tell me what you see.
It looks like a middle-class home The house is white, very small front yard, and it almost looks like a ranch house, but I feel like there's something wrong behind the front door.
Do you see any other houses next to it?
Just the two next door to it. I don't see any other homes.
So go ahead and open the front door and tell me what's behind it.
I can almost smell alcohol, but very faintly, and I see the staircase going upstairs. There's a living room to the right, and a dining room connecting to the kitchen to my left. I see the door for, I believe, a closet straight ahead of me next to the stairs, but something doesn't feel right about the upstairs though.
Become aware of what it is and you can go and see what's there.
I can see the door for the girls' room. I hear crying behind it.
Go ahead and open the door.
I can see almost bruises on the child. Very faint, but I can see almost redness on the cheek.
How did she get the bruises?
She keeps saying I angered him.
Whom?
The father.
Tell me who lives in this house.
Her, me, and the man. No one else.
And your relationship to the man?
He almost seems like a husband to me, but it doesn't feel like he should be my husband.
Why?
Because I feel like he is her father, not my husband. And I feel like she's my sister.
So describe the man to me.
Really tall, dark brown hair that's starting to go gray. He's built like a lumberjack almost. Very dark skin, like he's been out in the sun for hours. He's wearing denim jeans and an old flannel, an undershirt, and older style steel-toed boots. I can't really see much detail of his face. The only thing I can really make out is green eyes and a salt and pepper beard.
About how old is he?
Late 40s, early 50s.
So I'd like you to go to the room where you sleep and describe it to me.
I have my bed with the headboard against the window. Blue comforter on it. The room is very plain in the sense of not much in there. There's a single dresser, a sit-down vanity mirror, and a desk.
How do you feel in this room?
Like this is the only safe space I have.
Where does the man sleep?
Down the hall, I can see his door from mine.
Does he sleep there by himself?
He does now, but someone else used to be in there with him.
What happened to your mother?
She died giving birth.
To you?
Yes.
And where's the mother of the little girl?
She's missing.
Is that who used to be in the man's room?
I believe so.
How long has she been missing?
For at least a few years. They haven't found anything on her.
As I count to 3, you will become aware of what actually happened to her. 1, 2, 3.
I see a very dense part of trees near a mountain range. It's like the base of one of the mountains. All I see is her body's being taken there.
Who's taking it there?
It looks like the man.
What happened to her?
I can see on her bruising everywhere and handprints around the neck.
Did he cause her death?
I believe so.
Why?
They were always fighting and everything she did do around the house, it wasn't right. So he took it out on her. The little girl was probably no more than 2. I can hear the child asking for mom, but I was too afraid to ask the father, I'm assuming, to ask where she was.
What is your relationship with him?
Very strained, almost non-existent to this point. He doesn't even look in my direction anymore.
Did it used to be different?
Yes, he always made sure I was okay and cared about me. But the second that this woman came in, he almost stopped caring about me.
Did you have a relationship with this woman?
She tried. I also tried, but it was almost awkward, and I can't really figure out what was the cause almost of why it was awkward.
So as I snap my fingers, the fog is lifting and there will be clarity to what you're searching for. Now, why was it awkward?
She works at my school, one of the teachers, I'm assuming, and I found it almost awkward to see her at home.
So as you walk through the house, you're going to find a newspaper or a calendar or something that indicates the date. Just become aware of the date and tell me.
April 10th, 1945. I just keep seeing random 1945s.
Go to the date when you decide to protect your sister and tell me what happens.
The father just got fired from his job, and I decided to get at least a part-time job to help with bills. And the sister, it was her birthday soon, and she wanted a big party, but he didn't want to throw a big party. It cost too much, and she wanted to impress her friends. They start arguing. I can smell the alcohol. I knew what came next, and I ran because he was heading to the kitchen. I tried grabbing her before I felt something grab the back of my head, and I felt the sharp object on my face. And I told her to start running. I'll catch up. I knew she always liked the waterfall, so I told her to run there. I elbowed backwards, and I felt liquid on my neck as I tried to get the knife out. And I just stabbed into him and started running.
You stabbed him?
Yes. I didn't look back. I just kept running. I didn't even bother putting shoes on. I wanted to make sure she was okay.
So now let's go back to the moment that we froze. And the scar has now formed, and it's been about a week moving away from your house.
Yeah.
Tell me if you have a plan or if you're heading in a particular direction.
We were going to stay here for a little while to get our bearings, but I have an aunt not too far from where we live by foot, probably a couple days from where we are, but I want to make sure we have enough food before we move on.
Move forward to the time when you reach your destination and tell me what happens.
It's almost midnight, and the sister keeps saying her feet hurt and she wants to sleep. As I start opening up the gate to the front yard of this house, I recognize it as my aunt's house, and I go to the front door and start knocking. The aunt opens up, larger woman. I tell her that we have to stay here for the night. She's very confused as to why we're here and not back at the house. There was an accident. I told her we came here, that he tried to hurt her. She chose to come inside to get cleaned up and stay here for the night. I see what looks to be the oldest child in the house, no more than 8, at the top of the staircase, just holding a stuffed animal, trying to rub his eye, and tries to ask his mom if we're here to visit. She told him to just go back to bed. She needs to focus on us right now. The other 2 are still at the top of the stairs, though. They're very suspicious of the situation going on.
Suspicious in what way?
From what I can tell, they're very dirty, and I had to try to clean and dress the wound with no medical supplies. Looks like I smeared something on my face to keep it from getting infected. And they don't know what happened, but something serious has happened. They don't know if I was involved or not.
So they know that something happened to your father?
Yeah, but they don't know what happened to us since we weren't there.
Is this aunt the sister of your mother or the father?
She looks closer to the father than the mother, appearance-wise, but she never liked her brother, though.
Okay. So now move forward in time to when new information comes to the surface.
It's either the night after or the following night, because they keep referring to having me go to the hospital and getting checked out. They finally released me, and I see cops asking what happened, and are they aware that the dad is no longer alive, that a stabbing happened. It looks like I'm twiddling my fingers almost in nervousness, and told him it was in self-defense, and the injury on my face was because of him, and he was going to hit my sister. That I didn't think of going to the police because I thought he was going to continue chasing us and make it look like we'd gone missing too. And the closest police station is probably a good hour away by foot. So we thought hiding was probably our best bet until he cooled off. So I went to our aunt's. They look like they believe that may have been the case, but they need to interview the sister privately to see if her story collaborates with mine.
Do they?
Yes, that it was in self-defense.
So what do they do?
They said that they will chalk it up as self-defense and that I'm not being charged with anything, and that she'll be in my custody since I'm of age if I want to.
What happens after you're released?
I go back to my aunt's house with the child and ask if there's any jobs that I can do. That way I can start saving up for a place for me and the child. And she said there's a few nearby and they all pay decent. I let the sister go play with her cousins as we look at the newspaper at potential jobs.
Become aware of where your and lives?
A very standard looking suburban neighborhood. It's almost too big to be called a town, but not big enough to be called a city quite yet. Looks like it's just starting to get bigger as more people move here. I can see Main Street, a lot of hustle and bustle in the morning where people are going to work. It's very overwhelming at first, but I start to get familiarized where things at. I am very drawn to the bookstore by the looks of it.
Is this place, the town, bigger than where you lived before?
Yeah.
You may find yourself on the outskirts of this town, looking at the sign that says "Welcome to."
It looks like it says "Welcome to Arlington," but I can't really pinpoint what state it belongs to.
So now move to the next significant moment in that life and tell me what happens to you.
The child has graduated and she says she wants to go to college, but doesn't know for what yet.
And about how old are you now?
I look like I'm about mid to late 40s, almost.
And tell me about your living situation.
I have a very small house, just 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, decent amount of furniture, very much early 60s style house.
And who lives in that house with you?
Her, me, and either a cat or a dog. I see a pet bed and a pet bowl that they eat out of.
So have you had any personal relationships?
I have, but none of them seem to work out.
And do you live in the same town or have you moved?
The same town, just I moved probably about 20 minutes away by car.
How do you feel about your life?
Better since leaving the father in that house.
So I'd like you to move now to the next significant event in that life and tell me what happens.
I am with a man, but we both agree to just not have kids. No strings attached, just live together.
You don't want to have kids?
I'm very firm about not having any children.
What is the reason for that?
My sister will be the closest thing to a child that I'll have, and that was more than enough.
What is your relationship like with your sister?
Good. She visits whenever she can.
Did she go to college?
Yes, she's still there. She is trying to aim for a master's, but I can't tell what field she wants to be in. She keeps being adamant about engineering, but I can't remember which field of engineering she wants to be in. She's very smart.
And what work do you do?
I am a manager at a restaurant.
Do you like your job?
I feel very content there. I wouldn't ask for anything else.
And how's your relationship with this man?
Very good. He is very gentle, very different from the father, and that's what I like about him. He is a doctor, but I don't know for what though. He's very happy just having someone to come home to.
So I'd like you now to move to the last day in that lifetime. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me what you're experiencing.
I am watching TV and I have my sister there, her kids with their grandkids. It seems that I don't regret anything in my life. Almost happy with the choices I made.
About how old are you now?
Ballpark, late 70s, early 80s, because there's some wrinkles everywhere. It looks like I'm almost bundled up because I can see snow outside the window. The grandkids of my sister keep asking, what do I think of this show? This show almost looks familiar to me, but I just tell them that I'm just having a hoot, that it's a good show. As my sister talks to her kids, I'm just happy that the house filled with laughter.
Are you living with your sister now?
Yes.
And what happens then?
I remember that I said that I was tired, that I wanted to take a nap, and I don't remember waking up.
So with your next breath, allow your spirit to gently lift out of the body. As you look back at the life you just left behind, what are the first thoughts or feelings that you experience?
I'm happy that I was able to give my sister a better life. In doing so, give myself a better life. I regret not doing something sooner for her mom, but at least I was able to make sure that her child still got to live.
So as your awareness expands, you may become aware that you are greeted by someone to help you transition. Just let me know if you become aware of anyone.
I don't see anything, but I just keep hearing follow the light.
And do you see the light?
Yeah, it's almost blinding as I keep looking back, and I probably take a couple minutes before I start stepping forward to the light. I can barely see someone, but I don't personally recognize who they are. I just see that it's female. I feel like I should know who she is, but I don't.
It will begin to emerge the understanding. And what happens next?
She laughs at me. I hear, it looks like you don't recognize me anymore. But then again, you weren't old enough to know who I am.
Who is she?
The mother, my mother. She wishes that she was there for me in person, but she didn't have the strength after giving birth to stay there anymore. So she just passed on, and now we have all the time in the world to catch up.
Become aware of your soul purpose for that life and the bigger picture within which all of your connections with your father, with your mother, your sister become more apparent. So tell me about the reasons why you came together.
I see that I got to be the mother I never had to the sister. Watch her grow up and see that she got to be happy. She got to college. She started a family of her own. Lived her life to the fullest because I understood where the sister came from. We both shared a father dying and both our moms not being in the picture. I got to be a mom and wanted to make sure she smiled. I still got the family in the end, even though I didn't have any children of my own. I still had my nieces and nephews, their kids. I was always known as the fun aunt, and that was enough for me.
As you stand there with your mother, you might notice that another figure is coming along, that of your father. And just tell me if you see him coming forward.
I can hear him He's behind me.
What does he say?
That he is sorry for being bitter in life. That he didn't mean to be bitter. He was grieving in the wrong way for my mom and took it out on his second wife. That my sister and I did nothing wrong, and he deserved what he deserved in the end.
So I wonder if you can imagine both of you back in that kitchen, him holding the knife. But now you're observing it from a soul perspective. And if both of you are willing and ready to heal and let go of that experience because you have learned from it, then imagine that the knife slips out from both you and him, and the wounds begin to heal as the tissues reconnect, the bones mend. As they're healed, they're also filled with glowing white light. And the energy of that pain that was inflicted on each other dissipates. And both of you are released. How does that feel?
I feel happy. I feel like I'm about to start crying. Like we can try to figure something out and move forward.
And how is he doing?
He starts crying, saying he didn't mean to do it. He did it out of pure anger, and he wished he could take it back.
Are you able to release him now?
Yes.
So see if there's any other message there for you from anyone.
It seems about it. My mother is happy that I have forgiven my father and that I got to be there for my sister. That I have grown as a person and that we don't have to repeat the cycle.
Say goodbye to them for now, knowing that you can always reconnect with them. And just watch them step back and disappear into the light. As you begin to let go, all of those images can help you in the most that you have. But just help you find explanation as you're looking and floating, not worrying about letting go. That will get you the next. Give you helpful as you continue to slow down as you're looking to flow down to the surface. And as you touch the surface, tell me the first thing that you see or the first impression that you get.
I'm very small.
How small?
I'm almost 8 or 9. I'm just looking at my hands. Very confused.
Well, I'd like you to look down at your feet first and tell me what you're wearing.
Tennis shoes, shorts, and a red t-shirt.
Are you in a male or female body?
Male.
And are you healthy?
Yes.
Now tell me what you notice around you.
I am playing with my friends.
What are you playing?
We are playing hide and seek, and I'm the one that is seeking.
Are you inside or outside?
Outside, it's a quiet street. It almost seems familiar. I can't pinpoint why this street looks familiar to me.
So as you go around looking for your friends, tell me what else comes to your attention.
It looks like a rundown neighborhood. Wired fencing for some yards. Houses aren't in the best condition. Very much 80s, because I hear some 80s music playing. And I do see on one of the porches a boombox, one of the bigger ones.
So move forward in time a little bit as you're looking for your friends and tell me what's happening.
I get close to finding them all. There should be only 2 left hiding, and I get this very eerie feeling as I start to narrow it down to where they are at.
What are you feeling?
A sense of dread.
Does that happen to you?
Very rarely. It only happens when something is about to be dangerous very quickly. But I can't figure out what the danger is exactly.
So what happens next?
I hear police sirens off in the distance, which isn't too uncommon on this road. They were in pursuit of someone. I quickly go down an alleyway that I know will be almost too tight for a car to go down to. I wait in the alleyway until the cop cars go by, and I wish I hadn't.
Why?
Because that's when I hear on the road that the person that they're chasing is on foot, and they're running in the general area of the alleyway. He must have gone behind the houses, because I start hearing the cops go over the fencing of one of the houses and start heading towards the back of the house that is next to the alleyway. I start running because I don't know what's about to happen, and I don't want to be caught in the crosshairs. I try yelling to my friends to go help me find the other two and make sure they don't get caught up in it. It almost seems like it happened too quickly from my point of view. I feel something grab the back of my shirt, and it took them a second to try to grab me by the shirt. Completely yanked me up. I notice that it's one of the neighbors making sure that I stayed out of the clear, because a couple seconds later they start chasing the man that was the vehicle that they were chasing, and they wanted to make sure that I didn't get hit with the gunfire.
Okay, and then what?
He told me to start going home after the cops leave. I only lived a block or two over, and my friends probably lived in a block or two the other direction.
Are you with your friends at that point?
I see them on the other side of the street, behind the fencing of someone else's yard. There's about 5 of them in total.
And you're by yourself?
Yeah, with the neighbor in his yard. We watch as they finally get the guy and put him in the back of the cop car. After they all leave, I tell my friends I'm going home and start heading home. I see a 2-story, almost like townhouse style house, and I go inside. I see my dad laying on the couch sleeping. My mom's in the kitchen making dinner. We have a dog. I hear him barking out back. I make my way to the back of the house where the kitchen is and open up the back door to let the dog in. Almost looks like a Rottweiler, but mixed with something though. My mom asked me where I was at. She heard gunfire not too long ago. Told her that I was playing with my friends, but the neighbor down the street stopped us when the cops came. She starts yelling at me for being in that general area, knowing fully well that area has a lot of bad people, and that I should go somewhere safe to play or just stay at home, that I shouldn't get mixed up and stuff like that. Told me to go to my room and start doing my homework while she finishes up dinner.
Now become aware of where you live, the name of the town or city.
It almost looks like Mansfield, but I can't really see anything referring to it.
So as I count to 3, I'd like you to move to the next significant moment in that life. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me what happens.
Looks like I'm not much older. I want to say about 11 or 12. It looks like I'm going to be playing hooky from school. It's stupid. I don't see what the point in school is.
What would you like to do when you grow up?
by the looks of it, I want to be a part of a gang or something, because it looks like I'm heading to a very dangerous part of the neighborhood that is known for a lot of gang activity.
Why are you heading there?
Because one of the older kids in the neighborhood said that we need to start at them young. So it looked like I'll fit the bill, but I didn't really catch what any of what he was saying means.
Did he invite you to come?
Yeah.
Is this your first time going there?
Yes.
What do you expect will be there?
We'll just have fun, play video games, because I'm so used to seeing what I've seen on TV and movies. And I'll finally learn how to shoot a gun for once. But my dad keeps saying that yes, having a gun will protect you, but not until I'm much older, though.
So what happens when you arrive there?
They take me to the back. It looks like, well, constituted as a dining room, but I can't really tell because the whole place is a mess. They told me to take a drink of whatever was in the cup and try to hold it down as long as possible. I take a big swig and I could tell it's alcohol and I don't like it. They tell me I have to finish the entire cup. If I don't, then I won't be invited to hang out with them anymore. So I forced the entire drink down my throat, even though it burned my throat. It continues like this for about half hour, 45 minutes. That's when I finally started throwing up. And they told me I passed the first test. And that next time that I come will be the second test. But I can't say anything to my parents, or else I won't be invited again. After a couple of days, I finally get in touch with him again, and he says that later on tonight I will have the next test. Make sure I eat beforehand, but only eat right before I come here to their place. So I lied to my mom, saying I was going to a friend's house after dinner, and I was going to be more than likely staying the night over there. I go over there, and it smelled bad, really bad. The whole place. There was a few teenagers, I want to say roughly between 15 to 17, and then a couple adults, like early 20s to late 20s. From what I can tell, there are some drugs on the coffee table in the living room, and told me to pick my poison, essentially. I didn't like being here anymore, but from what they told me, I already passed the first test, was a couple more tests. So I just chose the easiest one that I think I would pass with, and just did a couple puffs of marijuana. Coughed a lot, but I didn't want to do anything that involved the baggies. My head kind of hurt afterwards, kind of hazy for most of it. I didn't like it. Hurt my lungs a lot too. When I finally got to the third test, it was probably a week or two after that. I shouldn't have lied to my mom about that one. I had to shoot someone. I lied going over there. The person I shot didn't think I was part of the other gang. I just took out the handgun that they gave me and shot the guy in the leg. The guy was probably no more than 19, 20, and I ran, dropping the gun. I got scared. I could hear the cops, and they pulled over and stopped me and asked me, why was I running? I got scared and clammed up and didn't say anything. They told me to at least tell us where he lived, that way we can get a hold of my mom, to take me down to the station to figure out what happened. Mom and Dad were so mad that when we got down there, all I could hear was my parents saying, what did you do? What did you do? I started crying and told them I shot somebody, and I didn't mean to. That people pressured me into doing it. shouldn't have lied about where I was going and what I was doing. That I didn't need to harm anyone. I just wanted to be cool like all the other kids in the neighborhood. And I start crying even harder than before. I told him I don't want to get in trouble, but I know I will. I don't see much other than how angry my parents were. Cops come in and asked me what happened again. They asked me to tell the truth. I basically blurted everything out, how this kid had me drink, smoke, and then shoot somebody so I could be part of the gang. They said all we need is a name, and I told them if I tell, since something bad is going to happen, I don't want to know what happens. They said, well, make sure you're safe. You are still going to get some kind of consequence, but not as much if you don't tell us the name of the person that found you and try to recruit you into this. And I was afraid that the kid might do something to my parents if I said anything. So I finally gave them a name, and after I did, they let me go home with my parents after I signed my name at the bottom of paper. When I went home that night, they were so mad at me, they yelled all the way home. I don't know how much time has passed, but I woke up to gunfire inside the house. I heard the dog growling and barking. Then I heard gunfire go off with my dog yelping in pain. Then I hear running footsteps. I don't know if it was my parents or whoever's breaking in, but I hear a couple more shots fired. And I tried to hide somewhere, but it didn't work because I heard a couple people come in. They checked everywhere in my room and found me and told me that I shouldn't have said anything. One more shot was fired, and I woke up in the hospital, but not fully waking up. I'm dazed, but then I'm knocked out again.
Where were you shot on the body?
The gun is angled downward from my sternum, and from what I can gather, it was a lot of damage to my upper torso from that gunfire, and it's very critical. It hurts a lot whenever I do wake up briefly.
So move forward in time to the resolution.
It does not get better. There was too much internal damage, and even if I do recover from surgery, it's only a matter of time. Any type of injury to the torso would result in coming back to the hospital.
Do you leave the hospital at any point?
No.
So go to the last moments of your life. At this point, how long have you been in the hospital?
From what I can tell, a couple of days. They were able to get the blood out of my chest cavity, but it did too much damage on the way in. It shattered the sternum, and it went through something, I can't remember what they called it, and then ricocheted, and it pierced my bone. One of my ribs punctured the heart, and there was too much damage by the time they operated. Too much time has gone by to do any significant work to ensure I could possibly live. And I flatlined on the table.
What is your name?
Clayton is my first name.
What's your last name?
Myers or Miller or something that starts with an M but ends in ER.
How old are you when you pass?
I will be 12 or 13 in a couple months.
As you leave the body, you will begin to go through a healing process. There may be someone waiting for you on the other side to help you begin to heal and decompress from the trauma. Just imagine that your physical body is going through a reconstruction. All the bones, tissues, regrow, reconnect, and heal. Almost as though you're observing a replay of a movie that is playing backwards. The distractive energy of the gunshot is removed from your body. Now, as you're looking back at that life, tell me what you think about it.
I was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and I shouldn't have lied to my parents about where I was going and what I was doing, and that I might need help. I should have just stayed in school and tried to better myself instead of letting myself get into peer pressure.
What was the wrong place?
The gang. I should have just ran home and told my mom and dad what was going on and what they were trying to do.
As your awareness expands, you will begin to see the entire experience from a higher soul perspective, understanding why those choices were presented to you, why you chose to experience them.
Just because something seems like it should be fun doesn't always mean that I should be a part of it. Sometimes backing away from it might be the better option. I didn't get to experience much because of the consequences of what happened. I didn't do anything with my life.
Were your parents killed?
Yes.
And your dog?
Yes.
Now become aware if there's anyone there that is welcoming you back and guiding you.
My parents.
As you reconnect with them, you begin to see the entire experience again from a different perspective. Remembering your agreements, remembering the reason you came together. As you debrief that experience, what do you say to each other?
You need to rise above the situation. I keep remembering something that Mom always says. Always aim higher than where you started from. I didn't really understand what it meant until looking at the whole picture. She had higher hopes for me than where her and Dad are now. She wanted me to be somewhere better. She didn't want me to make the same mistakes as other people in the neighborhood.
As you connect with your parents, do they hold any resentment for their death?
They kind of do, but they're just happy that my pain in my chest is gone, more so than they're angry with their own deaths. Yes, I messed up big time, but it's all over now.
Do whatever feels right for the three of you to heal and release the negative emotions that may be holding any one of you back. You may experience white light surrounding you and helping you heal. Tell me what happens.
They mostly just sit down with me. My dad puts his arm around my shoulder while my mom rubs my knee and tells me it's all good. It'll take some time, but when we're all ready, we'll cross over together.
Cross over where?
I see something very dim off in the distance, but can't really make out anything.
So are they waiting for you before going further?
Yeah, they want to make sure that I get there. They'll wait with me until I'm ready to go.
Is there anything else that you need to know about that experience or anything else that's being communicated to you?
No.
Okay. So I'd like you to allow those images to begin to fade away. And I want to ask Kaylee's higher consciousness to step forward and speak with us. Do I have permission to ask you some questions?
Yes.
First, I know that you could have brought forth many different lifetimes for Kaylee to see today. And it seems like you brought forward the two latest lives that she had prior to the current one. The one where she had to kill her father because he was attacking her sister. And then the one where she died from a gunshot wound. Could you tell us why you brought those two particular lifetimes for her to see?
The child one, the one before this one. A good portion of the personality comes from listening to other people about what is right and what is wrong. You may not make a lot of friends out of it, but essentially to steer clear of the dangers that come from doing that kind of lifestyle. And the one before that one with the sister is that she's been in those shoes before. Not necessarily the death of the parents, but had to watch the younger one and defend many times against his parent that's not in the picture.
In the current life?
Yes.
So there is a pattern of violence and lost parental figures in those two lives. In what way is that relevant to her current life?
The father is not in the picture, just solely the mother. Having two half-siblings, fighting the one younger brother's father and having to call the cops because he had a weapon. And then the other one's father, a lot of verbal abuse. And own father being in and out of jail since before this current life started. First sentencing a week before birth for armed robbery. Then not seeing the father until age 9. Things happened in a whirlwind that day, to the point where the cops had to get called, and they stepping in to save this life and ensuring that the younger brother didn't get hurt in the process. Then wanting nothing to do with the father anymore.
Okay, so I want to go beyond the actual events of the lives or the similarities of lives and ask you to speak from a purely soul perspective. I want to understand the impact that those two lives had on Kaylee's current life and the choices that were made by you at a soul level. So let's back up. What is the soul purpose for this current life? What does she need to experience or learn?
How to control in a healthy way anger more and the pain, and try to make positive situations for everyone involved, and to help those that want and need the help to get out of other situations.
And so those two lives presented the paths of not controlling it in healthy ways.
Yes.
Okay. Is she beginning to turn that pattern around? Is she beginning to experience a more positive way of controlling those?
In recent years, yes.
Is there anyone in her soul family who can give her advice or direction as she moves forward in her journey?
Yes.
And tell me who they are, who comes forward.
The brother.
Brother who passed away.
Yes.
Tell me how he looks.
Very tall. Has a very almost carefree look on his face. And almost a very average Joe attire in sense of wearing shorts and a form-fitting long sleeve and tennis shoes.
Did he used to dress like that?
Yes.
What does he say?
Always smile and don't take nothing from nobody. They aren't you and they never will be. So just keep smiling and don't let them get you down.
So I want to ask him something, if I may. Kaylee had a dream in which he came to her and she saw him at the time of his death in a car accident. His spirit wanted to get back into the body so he can have one last conversation with his mother. I want to know if that interaction with Kaylee helped him be released from that place where he felt stuck.
Yes.
What impact did it have on him?
There is so much that I wanted to do. I had big plans for myself, and all I wanted to do was have some fun on the way there. The one time I decided to do something stupid. Gone in an instant. I just needed to move on.
So when you interacted with Kaylee within her dream, were you consciously reaching out to her, or were you just feeling stuck and she became aware of it?
Both. Once I realized I was stuck and couldn't figure out what to do, I realized that she had to have been asleep during the time, and I forced her to wake up. A couple hours passed and she got the phone call about what happened, and she was already awake since 2 a.m. because she felt something wrong. Couldn't figure out what it was.
You can go ahead and give Kaylee any other message that you wish before we let you go.
Thank you for everything. I love you.
Just allow him to step back. And as I bring back the higher consciousness, I want you to be very clear so that when Kaylee listens to this, her conscious mind has clear instructions about what she needs to do to continue finding a better, healthy way of dealing with anger and pain. Are there any suggestions or directions that you have to give her on the steps she should take or things she should do to engage in healing?
Communicating the feelings when it happens. Tends to bottle up everything and then let it sit there for a while before exploding later. Explain in the moment what you're feeling and don't bottle it up. It's okay if there is no solution to the problem. Sometimes there never will be. But just talking it out and getting to a compromise may be the best solution and move on with life.
So Kaylee has a question about the fear of clear water she has. It didn't seem to come up in the lives that you presented to her. So is there something that you can give her about where that fear is coming from?
The uncertainty of what may come out in clear water scares her very much. Being able to see it coming at you, not knowing what to do, and the potential death of it all scares her.
Right. So was there a life experience in which that posed danger for her?
Yes.
Can you give us a timeline of that? When did that happen?
Give or take 100 years.
In what way did water play a role in that life?
Loved swimming a lot, and one day swam out and didn't see that there was it felt like a shark bite. And being that far out, there's nothing you can do. But someone came out and helped. Since then, any clear water that has fish scares her.
Did she survive that attack?
Yes.
And did she live a full life after that?
Yes.
Okay. So can you help her in her mind return to that scene and face the attacker?
Yeah.
What was it that hurt her?
Looks like a small great white. She was facing away from the shore. It came up from the front and bit diagonally towards the front of the thigh.
Help her communicate with that shark in the way that both of them would be able to understand each other, and ask the shark why it attacked.
It felt threatened.
By what?
It didn't know what this thing was doing there where it was trying to feed.
Was it protecting itself, or did it mean to hurt?
It's been swimming for days looking for fish, and finally found some and thought that she was taking all the fish.
So now, do they understand the situation from each other's perspective?
Yes.
Can the person forgive the shark?
Yes.
Does the shark understand that it wasn't being threatened?
Confused at first, but it understands.
So I wonder if that whole situation can be surrounded with the most appropriate healing light, so that the trauma and the pain and the fear can begin to drain away, dissipate, until it's fully released. And both of them feel free and whole and at peace. Experiencing water is a beautiful, peaceful environment in which they're both in balance with each other. And in fact, imagining that the person swims away and they let each other go. Now, how does she feel?
Better. A little cautious, but...
Cautious is always good. We don't want her jumping into the middle of the ocean without giving reasonable thought to it. I wonder if you can just imagine that shark from that life and that woman give each other a peaceful nod or touch, whatever is most appropriate, so they can make peace. Is that possible?
Yeah.
When you throw a pebble into water, it creates ripples. But if you reverse it and that pebble never hits the surface, then there are no ripples. So as they make peace with each other in that life, everything is reversed and that pebble never hit the water. And so there are no ripples. There's just learning. There's just a beautiful experience that can now be released. It will continue to get better and better with every day until the experience is fully released. So I have one more question for the higher consciousness. Kaylee has had interesting experiences throughout her life where she perceives shadows of people and souls that have passed on. She can hear them, she can see them sometimes. And she wants to understand why she has these experiences. Can you help her understand it?
They're very much in tune with how she perceives everything. She's very perceptive, so it's very easy to speak or be seen. Sometimes it helps us with those that we want to be in contact with, or to help cross to continue the journeys.
Is this something that she should develop more? Is that something that can be helpful?
Yes, especially with the mother. The mother can also learn more about herself, along with help with the grieving process.
What is the best way for her to develop this ability?
Keep being open, but not too open to where anything can come through. Just stay open positively.
Should she attempt communication if someone approaches her?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, before I let you go, if you have any direct message you want to give to Kaylee, please go ahead and say it.
Good luck and have fun.
So now I'm going to ask the higher consciousness to recede to where it belongs with much love and thanks for the help and information it has been given Kaylee today.